Just because I poke fun at the stories I read and or fan art featured in my videos doesn't mean that anyone should harass the creators of anything featured in this show. Cyberbullying is a serious issue that damages people emotionally and psychologically, sometimes to the point of self-harm and or suicide. Please keep any and all criticism constructive and reasonable for all parties involved. Thank you. Hey guys, what is up? This is Gothguy bringing you episode 9 of the Crappypasta show. In today's episode, I will be reading Suicide Forest, a weird slenderfic, which is almost as bad as Slender Twilight, but not quite. You'll see why when I read the story, and we are so close to episode 10, and once we get to that episode, I will be doing a little special. You'll see what I mean in the next episode, but for now, enjoy the show, guys. I awoke panting, legs aching from some invisible run I had just taken. Drenched in sweat, I shakily stood. The crunchy feel of pine needles prickled against my bare feet. I couldn't understand. Who was I? Where was I? The one thing I did know, I had to get out of this forest. I glanced around. It was coming on night, and mist was seeping through the trees, making their dark trunks look like ghosts in the night. I turned this way and that, not sure which way to start walking. I took a glance behind me, and not 50 meters away was a darkly dressed man. He was partially concealed in the ghostly mist, but it seemed to me that he didn't have any facial features. I started to ask if he knew where we were when my vision blurred and I stumbled. A childhood song loomed in my thoughts of a slender man. Slender man, slender man, all the children try to run. Slender man, tune, it's all just fun. Slender man, dressed in dark suit and tie. Slender man, you most certainly will die. I looked up into the face of this tall man. He was closer now, looming over me through the fog. My vision blurred again, a warning blaring like a siren in my thoughts. Never look at him for too long. Run and keep running until you find the end of this horrid maze. The slender man stretched a long arm towards me. I didn't wait any longer. I fled. Behind me, I could hear the pounding of his footsteps, like drumbeats storming through my ears. I ducked behind a tree and waited, bracing myself for when he found me, but he never did. He had disappeared. I took the chance to look around, trying to see if I was still in pursuit. I continued to walk through the trees and mist, keeping an eye out for him. A rotting smell appeared suddenly, burning through my senses. I turned in a full circle, searching for the source of the stench. Not finding anything, I peered up into the trees. Bodies hung from the branches, swaying slightly in the breeze. My vision blurred again, but this time it was from tears. All these people, dead. I forced myself to look away. That's when I noticed the rope sitting in front of me, a note tucked under one of the coils. I pulled it out cautiously. You cannot run, you cannot hide. But you can do one thing. If you wish, you may end it here. You may kill yourself. You may free yourself from the horrors of this world. Just take this rope, and like all the others before you, end your life here. I wouldn't end my Not for him anyway, but maybe I should end it here. I mean, what life would I have even if I did escape this place? I didn't know who I was, so I could never go back to a normal life. I reached my hand towards the rope, and following the examples of the people before me, I hung the rope around my neck. I was about to end my unfortunate life when a soft voice echoed through my mind. "Don't," it said. I slowly turned, and there he was, standing quietly just in front of me. "Was that you?" I asked. "Who just spoke?" "Yes, it was," he replied, voice echoing in my mind. "Why shouldn't I kill myself? What good would it do you?" I asked, anger building inside me. "You are my daughter," he said gently. "I would never want you dead." He stretched his elongated fingers towards me. "Take my hand," he said. "I'll show you my memories and prove to you that I am your father." I wasn't sure, but I took his hand anyway. I closed my eyes, a flash of white light, and then I was in his memory. I was standing a little ways from a small cottage. A hooded figure was approaching the house, a small baby held on one arm. That must be me, I thought solemnly. Why would someone just give me up? The hooded figure laid me down onto the doorstep of the cottage, then fled the scene, not a single tear shed for me. A few moments later, the door swung open to a young man. He leant over the baby on the doorstep. Past me, I guess. A man swept the baby up in a single motion, as if it were the most natural gesture in the world. He glanced around, obviously looking for the owner of the small me. His eyes swept around before falling on me. I know you couldn't see me, but his ice-cold blue eyes seemed to pierce into my soul. The memory ended with the man ducking his head down to the baby and whispering gently to her ear, "I will always protect you." Then I was dragged back into the real world. I opened my eyes and whispered quietly, "Daddy?" A single tear ran down my cheek. With a gentle finger, he wiped it away. "That's right, sweetie, and as I said then, I'll say now, I will always protect you." He pulled me to him, hugging me tightly, calming me with gentle words. "I was so scared, Daddy. I thought I was going to die." "I know, baby, but I'm here now and you're safe, so let's go home." "Okay," I replied quietly. And with that, hand in hand, we walked away from this suicide forest. He was a slender man, but that didn't matter because I was a slender girl. Thank you to all the people inspired and helped me along the way. You know who you are. I mean, this story would be touching if it weren't some self-insert slenderfic. And not to mention that Slenderman is completely out of character here. And then there's this, Slenderman, I believe, is known to steal kids away. Who knows why, but then there's this weird subplot of Slenderman once being human, and the story never explains how he went from human to Slenderman. What else? You probably didn't hear it, but there were various grammatical errors like failing to put periods between sentences and almost unexplained quotes. There is one when I said, "Why would someone just give me up?" Instead of the proper quotation marks, it's like the apostrophes you would see if someone quoted within a quote. and there's literally no it's like it's not like the person is narrating this to Slenderman, it's narrating to the audience, so why the fuck would you put the single apostrophe quotation marks when it's not within somebody's conversation. Oh my god. It does explain how Slender Man came to raise his kid, but why the fuck would... Well, it could be... Well, it's never really said what Slender Man does to his kids, but like I said, the whole Slender Man once being a human is pretty much unexplained. Also, wasn't the protagonist amnesiac at one point? So first of all, how would she remember this childhood song? And secondly, how would... We don't know what level of amnesia she has, so we don't know whether or not she could have remembered what a normal life really is, because there's different levels of amnesia. One in which you still remember basic concepts, but you don't remember past events. And there's another level of amnesia where you don't remember anything about anything. Like if someone were to get into that level of amnesia, they would forget what an orange is. And the story never really explains what level of amnesia this chick has, and at a couple points, like I said, are almost like she never had amnesia in the first place. There is... The spelling was mostly correct, but like I said, grammatical errors. So there's just so much wrong with the story. I'm not even sure I can really explain it all. So okay, next time I will be doing a little special. How is it special? I'll let you know once that episode comes up. This is Gothcat signing out. Thank you and goodbye.